What's up everybody? Long time no see. This is going to be a little bit of a different type of video. I'm aware of the Steam summer sale coming up in a couple of weeks, and I wanted to just give my recommendations as to what I believe are some of the best games you should look out for, and ones that you should potentially buy if you have a little extra cash lying around. Though I am painfully aware of everyone's budgets nowadays, I have made it upon myself to choose games that are only under $30, so that means no AAA games. This isn't going to be a very structured video, as it's just going to be me gushing about video games for about 10 minutes, but I hope you all find that entertaining, as it is a topic that interests me, and I feel like I have a lot of entries that might pique your interest. I'll try to keep the games separated by genre, but I know I'm not going to be perfect with this, so without further ado, let's just get into it. For this first category of games, we have ourselves platformers. Fun fact, the platforming genre is by far my favorite gaming genre. There's just something appealing to me about controlling a big ball of flesh full of weight and momentum, traversing through giant levels with grace and accuracy. But enough with the sophistry, let's get into the reason you clicked on this video. So first of all, I have to go with the obvious picks, and that are platformers that follow in the steps of Sonic the Hedgehog. Now, outside of the myriad of Sonic fan games I can talk about, like Sonic and the Fallen Star, Sonic after and before the sequel, and even Sonic Overture, which I've seen gain a lot of popularity recently. But I'm not covering any fan games on this list, so I'm just gonna have to go with official Steam releases, and for that reason, I'm starting with Freedom Planet 2. Now, I've actually covered this game a bit on my channel, but I guess I'll give you the rundown. On top of its gorgeous art style and amazing OST that rivals Sonic Mania, Freedom Planet 2 hosts an array of gorgeous levels with amazing gimmicks and awesome platforming. You will be able to control one of 4 nicely designed characters and traverse through these levels at high speed. The game is decently challenging, especially with its boss fights, and the story left me quite impressed with its amazing voice acting and overall nice presentation to sell the narrative. It is on the pricier side for games on this list, sitting at around $25 on Steam, but with the amount of content and variety of gameplay you get, I'd say it's well worth your time and money if you're interested in that type of thing. But of course, I could not mention Sonic-inspired indie games without mentioning my beloved Spark the Electric Jester. Still 7 years after its initial release, I have to say that this game sits in my heart as my favorite 2D platformer of all time. I have never seen such a great mixture of speed, exploration, and platforming implemented so intricately throughout every level of this masterpiece. Every boss fight, every power-up, every animation, it's just so perfect in my eyes. The story and lore, for as goofy and nonsensical as it is actually surprisingly deep once you look into it, and the music in this series, I mean, it's inspired from a Sonic fan game, so you know it's just gonna slap. We have all of the future greats working on this OST, from Bunk Fiction to Paul Beathers to Annie Tunstall. It's simply eargasm to listen to. Top that off with the addition of an entirely different character in Fark, adding to this game's replayability, and you've got yourself a 2D platformer that's pretty hard to put down. And with an absolutely deadly price of just $8, I gotta say, you'd be stupid not to buy this game. But I've already gushed about Spark the Electric Jester many times on this channel, so if you're interested in my more detailed analysis, just check those out right here. Next up on this list is more 3D platformers, since I know those are a lot more rare and interesting as a result. So as a starter, I'm just going to go with what I believe to be my favorite 3D platformer of all time, A Hat in Time. This game is just the epitome of charming. Just take all of the beloved aspects you enjoy about a traditional 3D mascot platformer. Great animations, great controls, a crazy story, wacky main character, and an absolutely gorgeous OST, and just turn those up to 11 while also making the game simply mesmerizing to look at. When you combine all of that, you have one half of what makes A Hat in Time so amazing. This game is just simply infectious to play through, man. One, the level design and gameplay is super sweet and addicting as always for a 3D platformer, and there are plenty moments in this game where you'll be genuinely caught off guard by just the wackiness they throw at you. And might I say, this is probably one of the funniest video games I've played, with the humor being right up my alley for this type of gameplay. The narrative itself is also quite emotional, with Mustache Kid over here trying to essentially take over the entire galaxy in which you inhabit, while your ship is broken down for repairs. And there's just so many other amazing characters, like the Mafia men themselves, this ghostly character, the Catcher. I'll just stop it before I spoil too much. You should really get this game. Now, sadly, this is probably the most expensive game on this list, sitting at around $30, but I believe it to be way deserving of that price tag. Are you kidding me? Just talking about it makes me want to play this game right now, but alas, I must move on. For more games needing to scratch that 3D platformer itch, might I recommend another Spark game to you? And yes, this is of course Spark the Electric Jester 3. I am not talking about 2 because 2 basically got invalidated about a year ago. Fun fact, this is the only other 3D platformer that is in contention with A Hat in Time for being my favorite of all time, and nothing else really comes close in my opinion. Sorry, Duty Sonic Games. What do I really need to say about Spark the Electric Jester 3 that I haven't already said on this channel? Mixes speed and platforming spectacularly, momentum and physics are damn near perfection, and the level design is simply godlike. So seriously, take a look at some of these levels. I'm really shocked at just how massive they are for an indie game. The story, for as much as I don't like it, is charming in its own right. The OST, while not as amazing as the first games, still rocks just as hard and still has just as many bangers. 10 out of 10, would recommend to you all. Go watch my Spark 3 review for more details. The game sits at a crispy $25. Do with that what you will. Okay, it's time to up the pace a little bit. Let's get into some more niche indie games that I haven't covered on my channel before. Starting off with a bit of a unique one, I have Mark of the Ninja as a good recommendation from me. And I've just gotta say, even though I haven't completed the game yet, this is by far the best stealth platforming game I've ever played in my entire life. The way the game treats every engagement with enemies as a little puzzle in its own right to be solved from different angles adds to this game's replayability and amazing aesthetic. You really feel like a ninja while playing this game. The pacing is short and sweet, and the game does not hold your hand with the difficulty, that's for sure. All the stealth mechanics mesh seamlessly into the gameplay, and it is immensely satisfying to just go through droves of enemies and crush them one by one. $20. For those of y'all looking for a great RPG inspired by the old classics like Legend of Zelda: A Link to the Past, well, you're in luck, because I have a game recommendation, or two, that will definitely scratch that itch. The game I am talking about, of course, is Crosscode, and I'm just now realizing that I've actually covered this game on my channel before. Well, Crosscode is a top-down isometric RPG where you play as this main character called Leah, who's basically trapped inside of an MMORPG herself. The game is decently charming with amazing character designs and a touching narrative, and this game actually has dungeons, like go through, find hidden items, and fight enemies while solving complex puzzles kind of dungeons. Not that weak sauce from Breath of the Wild. There are also multiple side quests throughout the game, and without spoiling anything major in the narrative, I can say that this game has a lot of playtime for you to dig into. So much so that I haven't actually completed the game yet. The game was on sale when I bought it, but it's now sitting at a crispy $20, so if you're interested in an RPG, I would definitely recommend Crosscode to you. Looking for something harder? Want to torture yourself? Well, boy, do I have the game for you. Let me introduce you to Tunic. Now, if you're not into the RPG genre, and definitely not into the Souls-like genre, I can't in good faith recommend Tunic to you, as it is a game you need to sink your teeth into in order to have any sort of fun. This game does not tell you about anything. Hell, it creates its own language for you to decipher yourself and figure things out. I had to keep a notebook where I wrote down the in-game text and try to decipher it while playing through the game, and I'm sorry, but I just can't go through all that effort in order to enjoy my game. This game dev really out here thinking people are about to take a university course in Tunic, but in all seriousness, this is probably the most Legend of Zelda-y indie game out there at the moment, and it's definitely just as cryptic as the classics, I'll say that for sure. Also, I haven't even mentioned the combat system of this game, which is basically just like the Dark Souls of Legend of Zelda, and I can say that unironically, thank you very much. Another expensive one, $30, play at your own risk. For those of you opting for a more cozy gaming experience and happen to be fans of the big indie game known as Pokemon, then I'm happy to announce that there is another indie game that's not as popular as it, but will probably scratch that same itch, and that is Cassette Beast. Now, I've been playing this game for quite a while to decently review and rank it, so maybe I will in the future, but all I've got to say is, this game feels like a Pokemon game, more so than the questionable content that Game Freak has been pumping out over the years recently. It has gorgeous sprite artwork with an open world to adjust to its setting. The creature designs and combat are immensely satisfying to play through, now with multiplayer being added into the mix. And the story and narrative is surprisingly complex and engaging, with these archangel-like beings being featured as sort of the main boss figures throughout your playthrough, without me spoiling much on the game. It definitely scratches that Pokemon itch if you feel like Game Freak's been a bit lacking with the innovation of its own IP, to put it nicely. Once again, the game is sitting at around $20 on Steam. And by the way, all of these are pre-summer sale prices that I'm talking about. Once this video goes up, the summer sale should bring the prices of these bad boys way down. Now, I don't want to keep you all in this video for too long, so I'm going to get into my 3 most recommended games to look forward to that aren't necessarily released yet. Think of these as like the last top 3 or something. For number 3, we have Smack Studio. What? A fighting game? On a Plexiteer video? There's no way. Well, believe it or not, I'm actually a huge fan of fighting games. I just don't tend to talk about them that much because of, well, demographical reasons. But anyway, Smack Studio is a very heavily Smash Bros. Inspired indie game that has a very unique mechanic to it that sets it apart from the rest. And that is the fact that you get to make your own characters. Okay, that doesn't sound that unique at first glance. Every indie platform fighting game seems to allow people to do that. But the thing that sets Smack Studio apart is that it has this amazing pixel art rig system that allows you to create your characters and animations really easily compared to other games. I already toyed with it myself, as it was the initial reason for me buying this game, and I've had some quite successful results with the custom character I already made in the game, Spark. And with the release of 1.0 just happening about a week ago, introducing a new stage editor and a myriad of quality of life changes, alongside a far more gorgeous art style, I can safely say that this game and its amazing community shows no signs of slowing down anytime in the future. I'll link to their Discord server in the description of this video, so maybe you can check that out. For number 2 on this list, we have an odd one that I just discovered recently, and that game is Vibrant Venture. Now, this game immediately caught my attention with its gorgeous, hyper-saturated pixel art style, probably one of the most appealing pixel art styles I've seen in a video game. And while I can't personally talk about gameplay because I haven't technically bought the game yet, as it's still technically in early access, I can say from what little I have seen and how the game dev who made this game handles himself in the public eye, this game for sure is pretty much going to end up on my favorite platformers list, I can just tell. With the amazing visuals, the 4 seasons character change mechanic, and the constant updates from the hardworking dev behind it, this game is definitely on my radar for ones to buy in the future. But as you know, there can only be one. And I am absolutely floored by the decision I made to delay this video by a week, because just as I was editing it, a new video game that I have been following very closely just released on the Lake Pepper YouTube channel. And for longtime viewers of my channel, you already know that it's going to be a banger. Ladies and gentlemen, the number 1 game I recommend on this list to look forward to is XF Extreme Formula. For those of you who watched my top 10 Nintendo franchises of all time, you would know that I'm a huge fan of F-Zero, specifically F-Zero GX. And man, if XF doesn't scratch that exact itch that this game franchise has to offer, then really, I don't know what will. I've seen Redout, I've seen Wipeout, I've even seen Aero GPX as an F-Zero Extreme inspired indie game, but none of those even come close to what I believe is the ultimate successor to this amazing Nintendo franchise and the masterpiece that Lake Pepper has created. The demo itself has been on Steam for about a year at this point, and I just gotta say, for a demo, it has way too much content that he's just giving out for free. Seriously, over 20 plus courses already, and from the looks of the early access build that he just released to Steam about a few days ago, there could easily be over 50 plus tracks in this demo that he's having us just experiment with. I mean, can you believe this man? His work ethic is insane. But the reason why I love XF Drive so much, and the reason I think it stands out from all of the other F-Zero indie games, is simply due to the faithfulness at which it adopts this niche Nintendo franchise. And you can see this in things such as the OST mimicking many of the song tracks from F-Zero GX, the vehicle designs themselves being heavily inspired from F-Zero GX, and just overall the presentation with there being characters for each of the vehicles instead of just mindless drones driving them. And this game feels like an F-Zero game that Nintendo would release just after GX. It simply can't get better than this. I will definitely be purchasing this game during the Steam summer sale, as it is the #1 game I am looking forward to in 2025. And I don't say this about racing games that much, but XF Formula definitely has what it takes to be in contention with my top 10 games of all time. But I definitely want your guys' thoughts on the matter. Did I touch upon some games that y'all enjoy, maybe some niche ones that I missed? Be sure to tell me in the comments below, as well as join my Discord server. I just created it, and there is already a decent chunk of us in there talking about various nerdy things, from Sonic to Nintendo stuff to indie games. Sonic, you'll get notified about all my videos, and you might get access to some secret content that's not available on this channel yet. Link to all that will be in the description below, and make sure to like, comment, and share if you enjoyed this video, as well as subscribe to help me out in the long run. I really hope your summer Steam shopping goes well, and I'll catch you next time. Also, check out Spark the Electric Jester Paradise, it's a really good game.